So originally, I was going to do a stream today where I talked about Black Panther 2, and I was going to have a disclaimer at the start where I said it's no well, there will be spoilers here. If you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch, etc., etc. But it's been a really interesting and very drama-filled week to where the thing I wanted to do is kind of stifled by something I'd rather do. And I can review that movie, and it's at some other point, especially given what apparently is going to happen on Monday, where I'll be able to get up and stream in that instance. So this week I didn't stream on Monday because I was working. Um, this was a job that I was fairly excited for because it gave me a regular 8-hour shift, and I've said repeatedly that one of the most basic of criterias for me with any position is being able to take care of myself, which is only something that I'm put in a position to actually be able to do if I'm, given enough hours a week to actually go up and make an earning. Um, it was for this. It was a warehouse, but one of the issues I had with it, really one of the few issues, was the time of it, where it was. It started at 6 in the morning and ended around like two something. So usually when I can't stream at 12 in the after, or excuse me, at 10 in the after in the morning and then end at 12 in the afternoon, I try to stream around like 6 o'clock and then end at 8. I couldn't really do that either. Um, because it was set the shift period was set in at a time of day where it took up both options for when I could stream. And the thing was, after you get home from like standing for that long, you do kind of get a little tired. Like, I'll admit, if I'm somewhere and they have me standing in place and also like bending over and doing this other stuff for most of the day, when I get back, I don't really feel like just sitting in front of a camera and talking for 2 hours. So that's just me admitting that sometimes I'm just too tired. But again, I'm fairly confident that I'll always find some way or time to do this at least once a week. Um, it's just in that particular instance, it really was hard to do it on Monday because if you do it really early in the morning, you're going to be even more tired for work. If you do it after work, you're going to be tired, and it's going to like make you, slip up or not being willing to go for the usual time. Like I just didn't want to take that risk. So I really have such a hard time like putting this stuff into words because it's a flurry of emotions that just kind of run through me with the way I react to some of this stuff, where I try to kind of like act a little detached from it, like, okay, well, there's this thing that happened that wasn't really too good, but it is what it is. I guess the first sequence of events is we could mention that last week I had, and we've discussed this before. It's the same group of like two, three relatives that tries to say I'm lazy, I don't want to do anything, blah 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 blah, right? And I was really put off by this. So it was, I think, either Monday or Tuesday of last week where I just applied for a whole bunch of positions, and this is something I do all the time. But I was surprised by the fact that I had so many places actually responding, because that usually doesn't happen. They just pretend like you don't exist. Um, and so I went to interview with three of them on Wednesday. And I mentioned one of them was this dog place where they have you in front of like 30 of them, various sizes. And I went up there the next day for their 2-hour test run and got mauled by these things. And I tried to act nice and listen to what I was told. And when I got back the following day, or excuse me, when I looked on my computer on Friday, and they said, "Oh, thanks for showing up, but we've chosen to go in a different direction. Best of luck." I was like, "Well, what did I do wrong?" And that's why I was saying that one of the reasons I try to not get too caught up on, "Oh, this place didn't accept me," is because I think it's counterproductive to um, put yourself down over circumstances that you are not fully aware of. So, maybe some other person was just that great. I just don't think it is a positive thing for me to be in that position. And that's one of the reasons why I reject a lot of the stuff that people say on here because I just don't think it's helpful more often than not. So, that thing with that place doesn't go through. But I signed up with this agency and they're able to get me this position to where they say, you can start on Monday. And I go, all right, well, that's cool. And I get a little bit excited at the prospect of an 8-hour shift because a lot of these places like to have you come up there for like 2, 3, 4, something that they know nobody can live off of. And I said before, one of their scams is that they hire 2 or 3 people in place of one and give each of them like part-time hours so that they can, not have to cut a full check to any of them. Um, so it's like a really ridiculous practice. But I go there and I noticed that the manager is not there when I first show up. So I'm made to go do this task as like a starter thing. I do it. And pretty much the position for all of the days I was there effectively is you get some kind of assignment, usually repetitive or laborious in its nature, like, oh, uh, close up these boxes in this origami type of way, right? Where you have to close them up in a certain manner, or cut up this thing and do it. And what's so funny to me is I remember on my second day when I was doing the boxes in the origami style, where it's like the different boxes they give you and they want you to fold them up so they can put them in like a big row of them and send them somewhere for shipment. I thought it was really interesting that while I was doing this with 2 other people, and we were, close to being finished, one of the higher up people that I guess works there went by us, and they were nice. They said, "Oh, take your time. That line will be important later on." So it's either the third or fourth day. I mean, that's how, like, I'm serious. When I get up there and I was doing that stuff, it was like a one-track mind. I would just do it. I wouldn't even think what day it was. But I get up here on the third or fourth day, and they have these bottles that they want dispensed. And what it is that they have a machine that when you click a little button on it, it'll pour out a substance, and it's something that's not edible. I'll leave it at that. That goes into these 2 bottles, and then that person who did it will take them and put them on the table, and then the other people who are there will put the caps on them. And they tell you put those caps on as hard as you can because if you don't put those things all the way, they might spill, they might fall over. It'll just become a big mess. Um, Now I should also point out the first flaw that I have with this position and the first sign of foreshadowing is when I'm having this really uncomfortable time with doing this stuff, with the exception of the box stuff, because it doesn't require me to like, bend down like this, because the tables are fairly small for my height. So what I mean by that is you'll be at a table with 2 other people, right? And the table will come up to one of those people, like their chest area or right around here. It'll come up to my crotch. And I had because the agency is the actual place that employs me. I had mentioned this to the person that runs that operation, or I guess their main spokesperson, whatever. And they told the manager, "Hey, look, you guys are hurting his back. He's a relatively tall individual. He doesn't have a problem with standing. He knows that's what you guys wanted, but is there some way that you can maybe get him a bigger table or maybe have him sit down for this particular thing that is putting strain on his back?" And the manager responds to this by saying, "This is the position he signed up for. This is the job." And it's so funny how I've said this before. When I take work, it's not because I think the job is great. It's not because I love the job. It's the most amazing thing ever. I take it because I am someone who, at every point and at every turn, has been open to working for as many hours as I am given, has been open to doing things at work or going through strains at work that he would otherwise not be interested in doing. Because I understand this is a job; it's not something that you're going to just find to be enjoyable for the most part. I mean, it happens. I sometimes I don't even find it enjoyable to make a video and post it on here, but you still do it because there's some other reason behind it. It could be self-satisfaction. And in the case of being employed there, it was just the sustainability of, well, you may not like that this hurts your back because they have yet these little tiny tables to come up to your crotch, but you still are going to do this because you have, you nowhere else is has either hired you, even though you have some other places that are like showing interest, but we don't know how those would go. And they're at the very least willing to keep you on if you just compromise in this way that is providing you with some physical strain. And we're going to go back to that physical strain. We're going to keep that part in later. You could literally work your oh, don't worry. Don't worry. We'll get into the finger Akatsuki merchant. You have no idea how symbolic what you just wrote was. Don't worry, we'll get into it. So 8-hour shifts. I've got back strain. I have I'm a person who has to like set an alarm to wake up at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, because that's not a time I'm used to getting up at. Even when I was in school, I didn't get up that early. I would get up maybe at like 6, but because of how early the shift starts, you have to get up before the sun even comes up. Then catch a driver outside in the dark, and when it was raining on both Tuesday and Wednesday. So it's really not something I find particularly enjoyable, but I still go and do it. I still show up every day on time. I still do the tasks that they ask me to. And I genuinely believe that I performed every single task and thing that I was told to do because I did. So you can imagine my surprise when I call the person that runs the agency, or at least is like the overseer, the one I speak to. And I asked them because they also talked to the manager. They were told at some point during that day that the manager had decided to end my assignment. So what's interesting about this agency is that I'm like was it attempt to hire? So it's someone who is not hired by the places that they work at, but if I guess a manager like doesn't is not satisfied with my work, they can, say I don't want him back over here. And I was thinking to myself, what caused this? Because I really believed I was doing what they wanted me to do. You come there, you fill up all these damn bottles all day long. You break your back while doing it, but you're doing what they tell you to do. And the manager's actual reason, these are the words stated to me by the person running the agency or the person I speak to that's over me. Their exact words were, he referring to me, he does not have the speed that we're looking for. When I heard that, I almost collapsed to the floor. I so let me just also say this. With this job, they have you working, 8 hours, right? And for the last 2 days, they had us filling these bottles, and it was the only thing we were doing all day long. And we get these bottles in cases of 100, which means that whenever we have a full case, we know that's at least 100. We did several hundreds of these every day because, again, it's 3 people all doing it together, 3, 4 people. And the manager admitted that they were actually backed up due to prior circumstances of people being sick the week, something that had nothing to do with me. So I'm not even joking. The speed that she was looking for is, I mean, I might as well just go put on a red costume and call myself Flash and zip down the street. I couldn't believe it. And I also want to mention something else before we get into that. We're going to get back to what Akatsuki Merchant wrote, but remember how I said earlier that on my second day when I was putting all these boxes together, doing the origami stuff, one of the higher ups said, "Take your time," right? Because we were doing it so quickly. So I would think that if you're a manager, wouldn't you say to the people that are doing this stuff, "Hey, you're not going fast enough"? Because it wasn't just me doing that assignment by myself. It had you have one person dispensing, 1 or 2 other people putting caps on it, and then another person um making sure the stuff is of the right wait for to like be, enough of a sample to then box and then ship to somewhere else. So we're gonna get into the part that was said by a Kotsky merchant. And what did you write? You said, "Man, you could literally work your fingers down to the bone, Grizzle, and they'd still call you lazy." So I have a lot of weird men on the computer, and they ask me the same stupid question over and over again. Why do you wear gloves? And I always thought it was so weird. I thought it was nobody's business. I thought it was just insane. Like, why do they care about something on my fingers, right? That I have on like during the stream. It has no effect on them. But if you want a simple explanation, which I don't owe anybody that, usually there might be like I might eat something, like let's say some kind of like chips, right? That have some kind of substance on them where even if you wash your hands, you can still see it a little bit. And I might not want somebody to see that. So if I just go out in some public capacity, I can have the gloves and then, I don't have to worry about it. But this is actually the first position I've ever had out of the four that I've had that has left me with some type of, I don't want to call it physical scarring. So I mentioned earlier, I was putting those caps on those bottles, right? And you have to put them on as tight as you can. And I've said this not that often, so you'll be forgiven for not remembering, whatever. I'm left-handed. So my dominant hand is my left hand. So I'm gonna see if my camera quality is good enough. And it actually is. Do you see the scar right here and the scar right there on my fingers? It's on this finger and it's on the top of this finger. Let me see if I can stick it up close enough. Yeah, it's not, you can't see it that great, but there's one up here too. So do you see that? Akatsuki merchant? That wasn't there before this week. And I know exactly why that is there. Because when we were screwing those tops on as hard as possible, the manager said, "Oh, you have to make sure you do it as quickly and as effectively as possible. You got to make sure it's as tight as possible and as fast as you can." And remember, you're not doing this for like 5, 10, 20. You're doing this for hundreds and hundreds of those things. So having to keep doing this with and those same like three parts of my finger or hand rather getting strained from doing that over and over for 8 hours a day for like 2 or 3 days straight left scarring on my hand. And the thing is, I said, okay, you know what? Sometimes people work these jobs. They have sweat. There's like the old phrase, blood, sweat, and tears. But it's even worse for me to just look at that and think, I came to this place for 8-hour shifts all week long. I got up at times I really didn't feel like getting up. I did the tasks that I found to be both straining for my back and for my hands. And what was the reward for my efforts? Being thrown away after a week because the manager said I didn't have the speed she was looking for, even though I'm doing something that has me working with two other people who could be just as complicit in not having this supposed desirable speed because it's not a one person project. But that's why I said that, like, I thought about when I was at this company back in February, right? Where I had the manager actually wanted to keep me, but then the higher ups of that company went on, saw like me get negative reviews on this website. And I remember what the manager told me when they were under the misguided belief that I had not worked somewhere in the past. Oh, just get the job that doesn't have customer service. Just get the job that doesn't have customer service, because they thought, if you have a job that doesn't have negative reviews, you work hard, you'll be kept on, right? Well, here's one where there's no customers whatsoever. It's in a warehouse, and you have this like sweatshop esque manager that wanted you to go at some speed, at some type of speed that she can't even define, because it's not even something that makes any type of sense due to the fact that you're working on something that multiple people are required to do. So this is not as bad as it's been in the past because I have another place that is going to. So the agency has me set up to start somewhere else on Monday, and I told the person that runs the place this earlier this week when I was talking about the back stuff that I still want to stay on this job because even if you can get me another one, who's to say something there might not be bad as well? I don't want to get into this thing of playing musical chairs where every week you're trying to jockey to some other position. And in spite of not wanting to do that, we're getting this anyway. And even though they took my side because they saw how insane, like, I just want to also say this, that place had been looking for someone for that position. And I swear these parallels, they just never stop for multiple weeks at least. Um, they were telling the person that runs the agency, "Hey, can you get somebody that wants to come up here?" And they said the person that every time they would get people and they felt have to fill out paperwork and get started, they wouldn't do it because weren't interested in working. And then you get someone that does want to work that comes at a time where he'd rather be at home doing this, does all the tasks that he's told to do, and then you throw him away. So I, you know, it's so interesting to me how like that the place from earlier this year and the one from last year, they all have this, the three of these places, they all have this similar thing of acting like hookers, right? We need people, we need someone, we need a person to apply. And then when they get somebody, what do they turn into? Not individuals who have a little bit of compassion and understand that, if somebody's never done this type of stuff before, they might not be as quick or is able to get it as someone that's been doing it for years. And you're honest about this fact in your resume, right? I've never done this before. No, they just expect this hyper charged ability to understand everything immediately, even with little preparation from them. And when they can't get this extremely amazing, terrific, great employee who's like the best thing in every conceivable way, they lash out. They cut the umbilical cord, even though remember, they're the same one who was begging for somebody to work for them in the first place. And you think to yourself, how is it that these stupid bastards who have such a hard time keeping people onto their lousy jobs are able to sit there and poke up their chest and tell you that you're not good enough for them, that you're not the one putting up a help wanted sign? Hey, please come work for me. They're doing that. I told you one of the biggest schemes I found out about last year was hire to fire. When I saw that thing where if you you know people always talk about how bad it is to record stuff. I don't even care. If you saw how sympathetic that guy sounded, he was like, "Oh, this is an easy job," and how quickly in 1 week he went from that to, "If you don't do all this stuff, if I don't see an improvement in you in this stuff that you're just now learning how to do today, by next time we're going to let you go." I know there is something wrong with these pricks. They don't want employees. They want to have this never-ending gap in their series of people so that they're going to keep pretending they want to see filled when they actually set you up to fail. They either don't have to explain stuff, they have ridiculous standards, they have these nebulous terms and phrases. He doesn't have the speed we're looking for. And I mean, like I thought I didn't know if I was working at um a warehouse or watching an episode of Sonic X. Got to go fast. Got to go fast. Got to go faster, faster, faster. Like what the hell is that? So let's talk about some of the other drama that came out of this week. On Monday, I get off from the first day of this stuff. I get to rest for like 10 minutes, and this person says, "Hey, I'm gonna take you to the store and we'll get you some stuff to eat." It means nothing, Akatsuki merchant. It's nebulous crap. So after we get the stuff, I have this person I have had the misfortune of living with who complains about like the arrangements or whatever. Anyways, it turns into this big argument, confrontation, whatever. And I've said before, when people say they love you, don't believe them. You know, it depends who it is, of course, but like there's a lot of people who will claim they care about you, or they have some kind of special affection toward you, but you'll be surprised how even the most basic of gestures, they're unable to fulfill or satisfy. Now, I'm going to ask you this in an abstract, Akatsuki merchant. I want to know if this is something that you would agree with me as being messed up. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical, and I want you to and I will wait for I won't speak for another 2 hours if you want to answer this. Let's say, for example, that your mother died, and I'm related to you. I'm your relative. I live with you, and maybe we don't have the best relationship, whatever. But I claim to love you and to care about you, etc., etc. Now, at the same time that this happens, you're talking to, excuse me, I'm talking to, let's say your dad, okay? And your dad is very distraught by this. He just lost his wife, etc. I'm telling him, hey, it's going to be all right, man. You know, this stuff is really awful, but I'm going to be here for you. And while I'm doing all this with him, you're thinking, okay, well, I live with this person. They're going to say something, but I never do. I don't say anything the day it happens. I don't say anything the week it happens, the month it happens, the year it happens. And remember, I'm the same person who claims to love and care about you and think that your feelings mean something, and you should be valued as a human being and all this other stuff. But for whatever reason, I just couldn't bring myself to say a single word to you about the fact that the person that you loved passed, even though I am here with you all day long for multiple days on end throughout the week. Do you understand how psychotic that is? I want to know, Akatsuki merchant, what would you think of me if we were related, we lived together, your mother died, and I didn't say a word to you the day it happened, the week it happened, the month it happened, the year it happened? Are those the actions of someone who loves another person, not even being able to say a single word to them when someone that they know you care about passes for an unlimited duration of time? I want to know, is that something a person who loves you and cares about you would act like? Is that a manner of conduct that is befitting of someone who has such a concern for you? I'd love an answer to that. I would think very highly of you. In fact, I wouldn't think very highly of you. In fact, I would think you as a lying sociopath. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So get this: when this person, again, we're going off but this is all stuff. If you just replace you with me and then like relative with whatever, it's really essentially the same thing. So when this person is confronted about this a year later, you would think if they actually are apologetic, right? They're going to say, man, you know what? I don't know why I didn't say anything. There was no excuse. I was there with you all day. I could infer you were feeling bad. I should have at least said, "Hey, are you all right?" Some little tiny bit of compassion, right? But instead of doing that, instead of making this basic overture, I say to you, "Well, Akatsuki merchant," and these are their exact words. "You're not a very inviting person, and you can't expect people to say something to you when even though they claim to love you, when a close person to you passes, because you're not very inviting." And you sit here and you say to yourself, you stupid, brainless bimbo, are you out of your mind? You would claim to care about somebody, and then when one of the people that you know they love passes, you have nothing to say. And then when confronted about it, you make an excuse. Like, Akatsuki merchant, think of how crazy this is. You're told by this person that you need to be responsible. You need to be able to take accountability for the things you do. But if you listen to what they said in this example I gave you, they can't even take responsibility for the words that come out of their mouth or that don't come out of their mouth. They are saying that because of your personality type, they were unable to say something to you, even though, let's be very straight about this. They have no problem saying something to you and they want you to take out the trash or to get you to move something or some other menial task. But when something like that happens, just radio silence. Think of how crazy that is. I did not say anything to you about one of the closest people that you have ever had and ever will have passing, because you are not very inviting. Even though I live with you, I see you all day long every day, or I'm around you for most days on average. If I wanted to, I could just come and say, "Hey, are you all right?" I have no problem saying something to you, the supposedly uninviting person, when I want a menial task done. And it's like they really, but see, this is why I said the relatives that I don't like, that I despise, that I think are human garbage, that I would love nothing more than to just cut out of my life entirely. The stuff is that way because of what they say and what they do. I mean, like, I've had people that I love that I've gotten in arguments with. If something like this happens to them, I don't care what the context is. I still say something to them about it. That's why I said something is wrong. And what's crazy is these bastards will convince you that something's wrong with you. And like I want to give you another example. There's an individual who is I think really a garbage person. And one of the first examples of this was that there was a person who was not related to them, but did something very noble, did something that they did not have to do. And that person took this individual who's not their child, and and brought them into their home and let them stay there for months on end without paying any rent while they were a kid, or then an adult in the second time this happened. For two occasions, right? For months on end, they let them live there. Didn't really have to do anything other than, just come and sleep if they wanted to. So when this person was sick and what would ultimately be a fatal illness, you would think to yourself that the same individual who they allowed to live at their place rent free twice for months on end would, because this period lasted for like 7 8 months. Okay, you would think the same individual who was allowed to have this real strong compassion from this person that's not even related to them would say, you know what, I'm going to repay my debt to them by going to see them, maybe one time, two times, while they're sick. Now, it doesn't have to be every day or every week or even every month, but I want to go and see them and make sure that I let them know that they meant something to me and I really appreciate what they did. But instead, in this 7 8 9 month period, this person vanishes. They turn into a ghost. They don't go to see this person that was responsible for them having somewhere to stay and a roof over their head two times at separate periods in their lot in that person's life ever. They don't visit. And it's like there is no individual that I've ever lived with who has paid for the roof that has been over my head, and it's been more than one person, that if they were like sick or fatally sick or whatever, health declining, etc., that I would not go to see at least multiple times. Again, it doesn't have to be every day. That didn't have to be every week, but at least show up once, right? The bare minimum. And they could not bring themselves to go see this person. So when they're confronted about this, they deflect. Oh, my relative was dying too. Now, the person that they're talking about is someone who did me a kindness when I was in fifth grade. They would take me to school in the morning sometimes, and I went to go see this person in when they were in and out of the hospital for about, and it was a long period for several years. I would go with this other relative. Now, what was so interesting is that when this, because I didn't want to confront this person because I know how these people are. They never can just say that they did something wrong. There's always an excuse. There's always a false equivalency. There's always an attempt to try and make everyone else seem as bad as they are. Um, they are to blame for nothing. If something happens that's bad, it's because somebody else did it. If they do something wrong, you made them do it, right? I made this person not say something. I mean, I caused them to not. It's always some other external factor or person that causes them to do whatever they do or not do what they should do. So this individual, claims that, oh, I couldn't go because this other person I was closer to was dying. Even though, again, this is an 8 month period. It wasn't a few weeks. It wasn't a few days. 8 month period. They couldn't go at all, which I don't believe. Um, and the other, but here's what's crazy, right? So like that was stupid, that was dumb, that was brainless, that was just mentally ill, right? As an explanation, and that was extremely disrespectful to the memory of the person that they were trying that actually saved and took care of their stupid behind twice when they had no reason to do that other than out of the kindness of their hearts. So here's where you get into the insanity part of this, okay? Now, Akatsuki Merchant, I just mentioned earlier that their relative that passed, I went to see them multiple times, right? I did to them what was not done for the one that I was closer to with this other person because I felt that I should go and see this person that was in failing health. So, what this person decides to do is claim that my relative that I would go with forced me or made me go see this person that was sick, that I was appreciative of the things they had done in the past. And let me tell you something. I'm not a violent person. I'm not a person who likes to yell, but I genuinely hope, and I don't care who gets mad. I really do not. You can call me I word, whatever. I genuinely hope that at some point in the person who said that's life, that they either get sick with something and nobody comes to see them, or they get hit by a truck. Because let me tell you something. There are people who have made sacrifices for me or done things that were nice for me for some continuous period, and sometimes they don't even still do it and they still get talked about. They still get called. They still are told, "Hey, I appreciate what you did for me." And I think it's one of the most basic courtesies to go and see a person who did something for you, even if it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. But also, I want to say this. This comment really pissed me off because the relative that they are talking about was someone who was very short, who was elderly. I've always been a well fit. Well, not I'm not going to call myself athletic, but there was no way they could have forced me to do anything. They couldn't drag me by the ear. They couldn't, like a sumo wrestler, lift me up and throw me into their car. I came because I wanted to see how that person was doing. And it's like, I want you to think about this. This individual, when they were trying to get back with me and get me to talk to them again, they never said anything about you were made to go see, I'm just going to say it, my grandmother, because you were forced to by this other person. They never said this stuff until they found out what my reason for not wanting to speak to them was. Then suddenly I have this ulterior motive of, I don't want to go because I actually want to go. I'm being forced to by this elderly person who comes up to like my shoulder that is definitely a sumo wrestler and can throw me into their car and lock me up and force me to go into a hospital to go see somebody. Yeah. I mean, dude, do you understand that she is you know what? The perfect example of this is that a couple of so there about 5 years ago, there was a guy that broke up with another group of insane people, and they made a video about him after he did an interview with this other guy that's like famous on YouTube. And in their video, they're all sitting in this bookstore, the basement. They have roaches crawling in the background, like on the wall, like you can see them just making their venture from one side of the screen to the other. And the response by one of the guys when this was pointed out was, everybody has roaches. And what she's doing is essentially the same thing of, she did something wrong, but instead of saying, you know what, I shouldn't have done this. But look, I really do want to continue speaking to you. Instead of just being humble, right, and saying I made a mistake and I realize it has cost me a relationship that I claim is so important to me. Because I said before, whether this person talks to me or not, I really couldn't care less. These people don't matter to me. I don't care. Talk about we share blood. I don't care if we shared a damn kidney. It doesn't matter to me. So their response to this, instead of humbling themselves and saying, "Hey, I made a mistake, but I want to try to repair my relationship with you because I feel like I've been missing something," which is what they're supposedly trying to convey if you listen to everybody else except for them. Their response is to not only make a bunch of excuses to try and justify their stupidity, and have believe me, other people were justifying it too, because that's what they do. They all get together and just defend each other until their dying breath. They have to paint a false equivalency by saying that, oh, you the person who went to go see my grandmother when they were sick and dying. Oh no, you didn't go because she did something good for you a long time ago, and you wanted to actually see how she was doing. Oh no, you were made to do it by an elderly person. Yeah, dude. I mean, like, is why is it so hard for people to just act like normal human beings? To just be able to sit there and go, you know what, I made a mistake. This was something that cost me a lot. Um, but hey, I want to do, like, try to make up amends for. They never do that. They always have an excuse. Oh, I didn't go to visit this. Let me do the voice. Oh yeah, I didn't go to visit this person that took care of me multiple times because I was really busy with this other person that was sick, even though that went on for 8 months, and I didn't go to see them at all. Oh yeah, oh yeah, I couldn't have gone over there once in 8 months. Oh, this person that was close to you just passed. I didn't say a word. Well, even though I claim that you should take responsibility for the things you say, I'm not going to take responsibility for the things I say, and that's why I'm going to tell you that you actually are you caused me to turn silent and to not say anything to you. Yeah. Oh yeah. I couldn't be bothered to just open the door and say, hey, are you all right? No, that's too hard. Not inviting. Oh yeah. Not very inviting there. Kotsky Merchant says, because it hurts to admit you're wrong, it's much more comfortable to lie to yourself and lash out at anyone who holds you accountable. And that's exactly why they have a problem with me remembering this stuff, because they want to live in this little fantasy. See, we're gonna end up having to do the romance comic book, but there's another type where you have these, just with relationships, right? You have these people who, when there's something they've done that's like that makes them uncomfortable, that like you say, hey, look, I don't care how much time has passed. I'm not forgiving you for this one. This was something that was very basic, that was very essential, that you should have done. Their response to that is, oh, he should forgive me and like pretend this didn't happen so that we can just move on from this, because you have to speak to me. I'm so important to you. You can't live without me, even though you've been doing that for the last several years, and not missing me at all. But yeah, you need to forgive me so I can pretend I matter more to you than I actually do. And by the way, I'm not going to, at least the most common courtesy of saying, hey, look, I did something wrong. There's no excuse for it. Oh no, here's my excuse. And by the way, you're also as bad as me because there's this thing that you did that somebody, I'm not going to say in my retcon to make you as bad as me, that you were forced to do. And I said, like, I'm going to make this clear. People need to learn how to apologize, because I want you to understand something. This isn't like the romance crap. All of these stupid bastards that are making excuses for the dumb stuff they did are doing that because they're mad that I don't talk to them. I'm the prize. I'm the person they're trying to make concessions to, and find a way to get back into his good graces. But like I said, it's crazy to me that, like, they have no idea how to just give the most simplest doses of humanity. Like, if I wanted somebody to speak to me and they told me what I did was wrong, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this person, and I must talk to them, and how will I live without them? I would actually improve in the ways, or make a atonement for the stupid things I did. And I wouldn't sit there and make 900 excuses and try to paint them as being like me so that I don't feel as bad about what I no, to hell with that. People really don't know how to apologize. I realized that as I saw that garbage on Monday unfold. I always say this is the real world, where you have to live with your choices, not an RPG where you can save, scrub, and reload the previous file. No, they're mad that they can't do that with me. That I don't allow the retcons. I don't just pretend that stuff that happened didn't happen. No, they're very upset by that. I blocked this broad's phone number what was it, 5 years ago, and only now, on this past Monday, are they trying to ask me to unblock them. It took you that long to realize if it took you that long to realize you were blocked, that's how little it actually meant to you to speak to me, especially when you've been coming over my house to go see somebody else. And also, I want to say this too. I have this one stupid relative who cries and complains. When people come to the house, you don't say anything to them. And I thought about how crazy this is. This is apparently my house, right? This is where I live. This is my domain. Wouldn't you think? Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I don't forget either. Um, but wouldn't you think that if you live somewhere and people come to visit, and they come to visit other people, which is why I don't say anything. But you would think if you live somewhere and people are like coming to your home, wouldn't it be on them as the guest to your domain to say something to you? Like you don't see how backwards it is that like somebody shows up to your neck of the woods, for lack of a better term, and they can't be bothered to come into a room and say hello. But and that's an indictment on you. They're here to see somebody else and ignore you to such an extent they won't even say a word to you. But you should feel bad. You're supposed to be this like they get to be these little introverted pricks that ignore you, but you're supposed to like go out of your way to acknowledge them. Really? Okay, whatever. I'm not if you don't understand like why that's hypocritical, I'm not going to try to even make it any more clear. Um I just don't understand how LO, you're insane if you think you can just walk up in my house and not say a word. But that's what they do. And like again, because we live in the twilight zone, the guests to your home are not told they're rude for not saying anything to you. You're told you're rude for not saying anything to them. It's like they're coming to your house. That is insane to me, man. So look, the other part of this is that I said something, maybe the only part of it that I would take back, just because it's one of those things where people are gonna like try to prove me wrong. I told this same individual that started all this drama on Monday with their crybaby fest that if I lived anywhere else, they would never see me again, and I would never hear from them again. And this is corroborated by the fact that I've had multiple instances where you go and spend the night at some friend's house or you go to somebody else's place for like the weekend, and you hear nothing from them. They don't ask you how you're doing. They don't. I mean, it's like you just completely erase yourself from their life for multiple days or weeks, depending on how long you stay somewhere else. So, when confronted with this fact, they actually said I would hear from them, and I laughed in their face. And I laughed in their face because this goes back to what I told you about how we have this thing called basic pattern recognition skills. Okay, so for example, my brother who does not live with me hears from me every single week. I constantly will call him, ask him how he's doing, help him with his homework, etc. This is a boy that he and I could not see each other for in person for a month, and he would still hear from me at least several times in the in between, in the interim. So do you see where it is the correct assumption to believe that a person who never speaks to you outside of when they're coincidentally living in the same place as you, if you live somewhere else, would never speak to you again? Because again, we're going off of what we've seen from them. They don't reach out to you or ask you how you're doing if you're somewhere else. So after this goes down, um I speak to this same awful relative later, and they're like, "Oh, I'll help you with finding a job that's like stay at home, and you could make this much an hour." And I was just thinking to myself, and because like I said, I remember all this stuff. One of the reasons I really don't like this person is because I remember last year. This is February of last year. This is before I worked at the place from last year that was, with the stupid thing with the manager, and then the one from this year, and then the other one from this week. This same person got into some kind of argument with me that they started, because every time we speak, it's because they initiated. I don't bother them ever. But they got into some argument with me, and one of the things they said was, you think you're so smart, but why don't you have a job? Huh? You think you're so smart?" And like I said, that's one of those types of reactions that really makes me hope that that person gets hit by a truck or just a plane falls on their head. And I don't care who gets mad at me for saying that. If you knew the hell I went through for 3 years between 2019 and 20 and then 21 and 22 of applying to places all the time in mass, either hearing nothing back or going to some interview that I had to go on some Uber ride over to and meet, and it doesn't pan out, and then the same thing happens. If you saw how frustrating that was for me, and you think I'm going to sit there and be pals with the only person, the only member of my family that mocked me for not being able to get employed, you're crazy as hell. I will never forget that. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, why now are you suddenly interested in what type of job I have? Where the hell was this interest when I was over here dying for 3 years, applying to all these places and hearing nothing back and having my time wasted? Where was the outrage? Where was the concern? Where was the, don't worry, we're going to come and help? Where was that? Where was it then? Because I'm going to even explain this. That same day, I had a person come over, and we'll get to them later, who was shook my hand and said, all right, I'll help you get a job. I have had 3 in the interim since February of last year and now. And guess how many of them that person helped me get? None. So I said it's all just fake garbage. They don't care about this man. So I said if you're a guy, you might have maybe 2, 3, 4 people out of all the members of your family that actually care like a little tiny bit about you. The rest of them, they don't. You could go disappear tomorrow, and they wouldn't even blink. And you see that in the way that they treat you year after year. You're gonna sit here and make fun of somebody for being unemployed, but then this year, oh, I'm gonna help you with getting this. No, and then after you get one, now suddenly you want to help get a better one. Yeah. So I told you I don't believe half the stuff I hear from these people because I remember all of it. I remember all those days where I was sitting at my house applying to different places and going to some interview that, by the way, none of these people who have vehicles could ever take me to. So you have to wait for this driver to pick you up and go over there and then talk to the person and tell them about how interested you are in the position and get nothing out of it and go back, and the same cycle repeats itself on the same little tiny stupid group of relatives. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work. Oh, what? And you know what? I didn't even mention this. They're so stupid and removed that on Monday night, this past Monday, the same one who I gave the example of where me and the Kotsky merchant we're going through the example of like if you knew that someone close to this person had passed and you didn't say anything to them, you would look like a psychopath. That person did, and the same one that made fun of me for not having a job. This person actually said, every job I have, I quit. Now, this is hilarious because, again, it shows how out of the loop they are. And this is something that's like I've explained to several other people that they were with that I guess they just never bothered asking. But also, what have I told you before? What have I said people like to do when they don't know the specifics of stuff? What have I said before? I'll repeat it. They like to make fan fiction. They like to take a little pad and it like in their this is their mind, right? The pad is their mind, and scribble down some notes of what they think the person did or is doing. Well, I don't know why Justin stopped working here, so I'm just gonna say that he quit because the guy that always takes all these jobs, he's lazy, so he'll do it for like a month and then he just stops abruptly. Yeah, he just quits them. He doesn't want to do these. See, that's the type of stuff that makes me hate these relatives because you can't be bothered to do something as simple as call a person up on the phone, or hell, in that person's case, walk down the hallway and say, "Hey, why did you quit this? Why did you? Excuse me. Let me rephrase that to not be offensive. Why did you stop working at this position?" I would have told them. I would have gone through the whole play-by-play of One from last year, manager was out for me, complained about me being left-handed. The one from earlier this year, stupid website, people cry and moan and whatever. That's all they had to do to just get the answer. But why didn't they do that? Because you're not inviting, so I'd rather just make stuff up about you to make myself feel better about your crappy situation as part of the just world fallacy. It all connects. Cots Merchant says, LOL, they're so stuck in their own bubble that they've forgotten what reality is. Yes. They don't care what reality is. They listen, when people don't when they want to think that it's always your, and that's why I gave the stream this title, the most blamed man of all time. When people want to believe that you are getting a situation that is undesirable, they want to convince themselves you're doing something that's causing this to happen. So it's easier for them to believe, instead of, oh, these places have hired a fire. They get a guy that wants to work the job, shows up every time they tell him to show up, does all the stuff they tell him to do, and they still are like never satisfied. They're gonna just say, well, he must have quit. He doesn't want to work. He's lazy. That's why he was going to this job all month. Yeah, he doesn't want to work. I mean, they don't even care. They just create this crap in their head. And that's why I said I will never forgive them for that. We'll talk about moving on. Oh, you need to forgive. I don't need to forgive anything. Because like I said, most of these people, they don't do anything for me. They don't feed me. They don't assist me with getting work until this week, supposedly, and that still hasn't even padded out yet. But then suddenly you're supposed to want to speak to them and feel redeemed in their man. I couldn't care if I went down a shaft and never saw any of them again. It'd be too quick. Like I said, if you're a man, nobody cares about you, including most members of your own damn family. The few times that they bring you up, it's negative, it's bad, it is dehumanizing. They accuse you of things that they have no proof of because they can't be brought to do the simplest of research, like asking you what actually happened. Um, they persecute you in their own mind and to people that don't even know you. This is what they do. And I was thinking about it. I said this week it was Monday and it was Wednesday where I had the same two people, relatives, who had no point of ever showed any interest in helping me to get a job, suddenly say, "Oh, I'll help you this weekend with your application and I'll help you." And I was like, "Where is this coming from? Where is this new sudden desire to see me working?" Because when I was sitting over there dying with nothing, there was no interest. It was, "Oh, he's lazy. He doesn't want to do anything." But then when you get hired somewhere, suddenly they're now concerned. And remember, this isn't even the first time I've been hired in the last year and a half. It's the third instance. Suddenly they're interested. They now want to see you employed. Remember, their access to me is no different than it's been over the last several years. They can call whenever they like. They can come and see me whenever they like. And they never showed any interest prior to the square end of last week in helping me to get hired by any damn body. I'd love to know why now. Just like the same one that was crying about, oh, you uh making the stupid excuse of like why they didn't go to see that person that took care of them, at all, when that person died in the hospital after several months or for almost a whole year. And they were fine with like me, I had them blocked since like 2017. And only now they say something about it. Again, what's with this new sudden spike of interest and we have to be friends and let's hang out and all, where's this coming from? Because I don't think I'm any different from last year or the year before that or the year before that. I certainly couldn't care less if I never spoke to these people again. I communicated that to them um, either in the past or indirectly through somebody else that went back and told them because that's what they do. They all just sit around, talking about you behind your back. But the point is, I'm trying to figure out where is this new surge of interest in trying to assist me and pretend to show some concern for my well being. I don't know where it came from. Remember, I have had hundreds of job applications that I have filled out and dozens of interviews that I've gone to, including 3 in the last 2 weeks. And I never saw these people. They never helped me fill out one application ever. They never gave me a referral. They never said, "Hey, you know what? I see you've been struggling with this for a while, man. I should have done something, but now I'm going to step up." Never. 3 years of this nightmarish saga of being hired by places and then fired by places and having the same thing happen all over again while having this little group keep repeating the same lines to themselves. Oh, he doesn't want to work. He's lazy. 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 He doesn't want to do anything but sit around the computer and sing. He would rather stay at his house than get up before the crack of dawn and the mouse. Where did this interest come from? I'm really stumped. Kotze Merchant writes, the fan fiction they create is wild, and they'll repeat this fan fiction with such conviction that you're almost gaslighted into believing it. Well, like I said, I know what reality is, right? I know that every one of those jobs, I did what I was asked to do. I did what I was told to do. Seriously, when I found out about the lady ending my contract yesterday, I wanted to tear my hair out because these places are run by people who have unrealistic fantasies, who are always out to get rid of somebody, which is why they'll try to get rid of a person that they just hired a week or two ago. And I'm always cringing, one, because I'm just getting used to doing something usually when it happens. And also because I know that I'm going to have the same little pissant group of 2, 3 relatives going, he doesn't want to work. He's lazy. 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 He doesn't want to work. He's lazy. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work. He's lazy. He's lazy. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work. He applies to hundreds of jobs for nothing, for fun. Maybe he gets a coupon to go buy a video game when he applies to 200 jobs. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work. I mean, they repeat this stuff so damn much to where you just say, like, and again, these are the people that want you to think that they care about you and they love you and all this other stupid, mushy garbage. But then in reality, they do nothing to assist you with getting any further in any capacity. All they do is put you down. If they're not ignoring you or not, like, dude, they make it sound like they make these blatant overtures and you're just like, forget you, Like I'm telling you, out of this group of 2 or 3, none of them have ever asked me to see a movie in the last 3 years. Only one has, but and I went with that person, and then there was nothing after that. None of them have asked me, "Hey, you want to go eat somewhere?" None of them have asked me, "Hey, you want to go on some trip to some other?" And I'm like, again, they choose to not do this. I like, it's so crazy to me how when they need something from you, right? Oh, can you take out the trash? Oh, can you go get the mail? Oh, can you put my stuff in the, I don't know, the washing machine? Just all this different stuff, right? No problem calling you up, explaining what needs to be done. But when it comes to actually wanting to do something with you and actually being interested in some type of like fulfilling relationship with you, They couldn't be bothered because they don't care. And I have always known that. Oh, they are NPCs. Absolutely. But one of the reasons I don't like I'm not interested in being closer to any of them is because I see the stuff they do to each other and I'm really not interested. So what I mean by that is on Monday, one of them was defending the other one, right? The one that the psychopath one, right? That we mentioned earlier. The psychopath one will call the other one by an affectionate nickname, say that, they love this person, they're not related to each other, they're really close, whatever. And then on 3 days later, right? Thursday, the psychopath person's like, man, this other person was bullying me. And everybody that was there is like, what? And goes right along with making this person that they claim to have liked just a few days ago seem like the reincarnation of Stalin. So what I thought was really interesting is that in just a span of a couple of days, complete stab in the back. And this person didn't get stabbed in the back because they did some new messed up thing to the other one. The other one is wishy-washy. They switched from one side to the other, and they can't figure out that psychopath, man. That person is bipolar. They hate, they love and hate everybody, and that's why I was even saying this because we have to mention what Joe Manchin said because it's such a true saying. Yeah, I have to give him credit. Um, I was told on Monday that I was disrespectful, that I was lazy, that I quit every job I want to work or that I get hired at. Um, Even if those of us who follow this channel know that's not true. Um, I was told I was not a very inviting person, and I couldn't care less because I don't want to talk to these people anyway. That's why again false equivalency. And then at the end of the conversation, I'm told about how I'm so smart and I was so helpful with this task. So you see what? Remember what Manchin said? You can be a hero one day and a villain the next. You can be pulling across one day and properly in turn the next. And like I said, I'm not interested in the musical chairs of emotions. I don't have a desire to have people that you like and dislike every single week for the rest of your life. I'm not That's not something I like. I'd rather just remember I said before, I would rather be hated permanently than liked temporarily because at least I know that person is like where they stand. I don't like the wishy-washy stuff. They don't know what team they're playing for. Certainly isn't mine. Or they want you to believe it is, but it's not. Because like I said, for 3 years, I lived through that nightmare of being unemployed and applying to all these places and telling them the same thing. Hey, I'll come whenever you want me to. I'll do what you ask for. I'm available whenever you want. And over again, they just would not hire me. And that same little group of two, three, they said nothing. They offered no assistance. But then suddenly this week they care and they're interested and they want to be there for me. Why now? Like these, and they always want you to just get over it, right? Oh, that's the past. No, the past was the last 3 years and even the beginning of this year up until a week ago. And remember, they have no idea what it was like to sit there and be afraid that you were never going to have a place that would give you a job. And then after working at some of these stupid places, getting some type of PTSD, where now you're afraid to work somewhere else because they might end up doing the same stupid thing of getting the guy who shows up on time, does what they tell him to do, and then getting rid of him before the month is out, which they've now done twice, technically 3 times. Even though this is different because I wasn't actually, you know, fired like whatever. So Yeah, it's like that's why I said I don't want to be closer to any of them. They watched me sit there and burn in that fire of unemployment year after year and said nothing. They threw no lifeguard. They gave no endorsements, no referrals, nothing. I was just sitting there drowning like this. And the few times I was able to pull myself out of it by getting hired somewhere was through me. Nobody else was doing that with me. I had one person that would send me some stuff here and there. Um, but like I said, there was a solid 3-year period, and it might still be ongoing, where I would apply to places, for the most part, hear nothing back, except for the little two instances of the two places that I mentioned before, and then the one from this week. So I guess that's three. And then go back to being accused of being lazy and not wanting to work. And I just I'm tired of it. Again, this is the full extent of relationships. It's people taking a person who they claim they want to be closer to or want to repair their relationship with or whatever, not being able to be accountable for what they did and finding every single excuse as to why they did it. And then like trying to make the person feel bad for holding their feet to the fire about something that clearly bothered them. So I mean, if you heard the way that this bimbo spoke to me on Monday, like the indignation of you only went to see my grandmother because I swear if I never saw that person again, I would go to church every single Sunday. I would be my religious belief in the Lord would be restored to its fullest extent because I don't want to speak to someone like that does something screwed up and then tries to make what you did seem like it was bad because another person made you do it, which they have no proof for and are clearly making up because they're full of crap. Oh, they've become the villain a very long time ago. They're just trying to convince everybody else that they're still a protagonist. I'm just trying to figure out where this sudden shift in these people's demeanor came from. Where now they want to suddenly try to repair things and be friends and all the rest of this kumbaya crap. Like, get out of my face, please. Just go away. Because, like I said, when I was sitting over there dying with no job and getting ignored by all these companies week after week, month after month, year after year, first in 2019 and then throughout the amazing year of that stupid virus and then the year after that for well until May, um none of them said anything. None of them showed any interest. They either had a deafening silence or they mocked me or insulted me over a condition that I didn't want to be in. If you're so smart, why don't you have a job? And that's the person I'm supposed to want to hang out with and talk to. They saw you over there dying from having nothing, and they're going to come around and go, "Oh, I'm going to help you now." Only after you get something. That's why I said, man, they're every time somebody says I love you and oh, you mean so much to me, just remember all the times they were not there for you. And like, the screwed up part is I have relatives that live in like another state, another city, maybe yeah, even some that live in other countries because my maternal grandparents were immigrants. But the thing is, I would never expect those people who are in other parts of the region or world to have this like consistent ability to speak to me, whatever. But people who in some cases are in the same city, in some cases come to your house every single week, in some cases even live with you, cannot be bothered to assist you in any means that could be considered profound, even if it's something as simple as helping you get a damn menial position at a company. It has never happened because they don't care. Kotsky Merchant, I'm probably going to end up banning you because you don't have the speed I'm looking for. The hell does that even mean? You sit over here and you come to work every day. You do what we tell you to do. We've been out here like hookers begging for somebody to work for us, but you don't have the speed we're looking for. But remember, if you get mad, if you get upset, he's crazy. He's not a very inviting you goddamn right I'm not inviting. Look at who would invite people like this? People that let you sit there and starve and have nothing for years, but then suddenly when you get hired somewhere, they're interested in helping you get some. It's too little, too late. Sounds like another nebulous excuse, if you ask me. Just something they know, something they throw your way to write you off. Yeah. Now, Megumi, I'm going to give you the same hypothetical because this really pissed me off. Let's say you and I live together. For the sake of argument, I'm just going to say I'm your brother. Okay, we live together. I'm your brother, and maybe like let's say you have a half sister, one that's related to you, not related to me, and she dies, right? And I'm talking on the phone with your mother, she's crying. Oh my God, so bad, and I'm saying sympathetic stuff, but I for some reason I can't say anything to you. I won't say anything to you, and you're waiting for it. You're thinking, okay, you don't expect much, but you're like maybe he'll say, "How are you feeling? I'm sorry this happened." Something basic, right? But instead, I say nothing the day it happens, the week it happens, the month it happens, the year it happens. And then when I finally get confronted by you about you not doing this, and it's one of the reasons why I can't stand you, I'm sick of you, you know, or you can't stand me and you're sick of me. I say, well, Megumi, I didn't say anything to you about your half sister dying, even though I claim to love you and care about you, because you're not a very inviting person. Now you would think a normal, rational individual who wants so desperately for you to embrace them and care about them would say, you know what, Megumi, I'm sorry I didn't say anything. There's no excuse for that. I'd like to still have some kind of way of speaking to you. I don't know what I was thinking. Like even something like that, it would be them admitting I did something that was wrong. No excuse for it. It was all it would take was a very basic thing of, hey, are you all right? Didn't have to sit there and talk to me for no 2 hours, just a little comment, just a little tiny brief show of fake concern or whatever you deem to be real. But think of how crazy that is. They do something like that where they ignore the death of someone that they know you care about and don't say anything to you, even though they live with you and they're around you all damn day and in the weeks and months that precede it or that follow it, excuse me. Um, and then their excuse for not saying anything is you're not a very inviting person. But remember, I have no problem asking you if you to take out the trash or to get the mail or to do some other task like lifting something. I have no problem coming to you, the not inviting person, for those menial tasks. When it comes to something major, my lips are sealed. Do you see how insane this is? Why would they not notify or say something to you as a show of concern? This person sounds very spiteful. What kind of excuse was that? They never listen, stupid people will tell you to take responsibility for the things that happen in your life. But if you actually live or see any of them in real life, very often they will never take responsibility for the things that they do. It's my fault that this person did not say something to me, even though they have no problem saying stuff about all this other frivolous crap. Now you know that's stupid, right? Because they can come and say something to you about all this other much less important stuff, but if it's something major, they just can't, work up the courage to spit something out. Um, but Megumi, I don't know how much you missed. I was talking about this job I'd been working all week. That's why I didn't do a stream on Monday, and how it was for this warehouse, and they had me like folding stuff and putting up boxes, and um, the last 2 or 3 days were just dispensing balls. Where there's this machine where somebody pressed it, it puts stuff in two of them. Then there's like another person or two people that lock it up with their hands, right? And I was talking about how this was something that was very tiring for me, not just because it hurt my hand, I have to like squeeze it so hard, but also because like the people I work with are worked with, the table comes up to like right here and it came up to my crotch. So I had to keep like bending down like this to do it. And when the person that I actually work for the agency was like, "Hey, can you get him like a bigger table, maybe a chair? This is the job and he signed up for it, so he has to do it this way." And then I do this stuff, put up with it, don't no complaints for me to directly to the manager, and then the manager ends my contract on Friday. And I was explaining how I have these weird, creepy guys on the internet. They're like, "Why do you wear gloves? Why do you wear gloves?" And I swear to you, out of the 4 jobs I've had, this is the only, and I'm going to show it again because I want to keep making this clear. This is the only one that has ever left me with some type of physical scarring because of how exhaustive my efforts were or the work was. So again, I don't know if you can see it, but there are 2 scars. There's one right here, right there, and right here from like closing those bottles. And then there's one on this top part. Let me see if I can stick it. You see it? It's like a little discoloration. I'll take a picture of it and put it in the community tab if you can't see it that good. But that is from closing hundreds and hundreds of bottles from the last 2 or 3 days for 8 hours on end. Yeah, her reason for getting rid of me was he doesn't have the speed we're looking for. I wanted to rip my hair out of my head. You show up to this place on time every single day. You do what they tell you to do. You don't complain about anything. Um, they're the ones begging for somebody to work for their stupid warehouse company that has these ridiculous hours. And then when they finally get somebody to show up, they throw them away after a week. And the only thing that makes this different from the other 2 places is that I wasn't hired by them. So my agency's overseer said that they understood me and that these people do that all the time, and like took my side. So there's at least one little sympathetic, you know, individual in my corner, but the rest of it is just it's just the same old song and dance. They have you show up to some place, get acquainted with all this stuff, and then when you can't do it as quickly as they would like in this really short span of maybe a week or two, they want to get rid of you. I told you it was the same thing at that place last year, where the manager threatened to fire me on my first day of doing the stuff in the kitchen. My 5th day, it was at the end of the first week where he said, "If you can't do things faster by next time, we'll have to go find somebody else." No, adults don't grow up. They have like when the things she said sounded like something a child would say. He doesn't have the speed we're looking for. And I just want to also we clarified this before. The thing they had me doing, all the stuff I did was with multiple other people. So they never even consider, hey, maybe he's performing to whatever his fullest extent was. I mean, if you saw those scars on my damn hand, I was. Maybe we should also say something or not entirely blame him. Nope. So I told you these places are all the same. If they don't get these amazing, perfect employees in a few days of you starting there, they'll throw you away like an empty potato chip bag. A lot of these people in these employment positions, I'll never understand how they got their position when they treat their new staff that way. Well, I guess it's like this, when you have a job where you don't really have to talk to regular people, you get these unrealistic expectations of what a worker is supposed to be. And when that person can't fit your into your fantasy, then you lash out. We said that before, your unrealistic fantasy. I mean, like it was the same thing with the stuff from earlier this year at the other place. The people that fired me never met me, and they didn't even work this regular shift. They just go on the website, they see you have negative reviews, which you'll get even when you didn't do anything wrong, because if the store doesn't have something that a customer wants, they'll give you a bad review for it. And then you're told to get lost. I even told the example of how at the place from earlier this year, there was a lady who came in and was asking about the newspaper, and I didn't know where it was because nobody reads. And I'm saying that just in general, nobody reads newspapers anymore. And I have like no experience because nobody's asked me for this before, and they also won't like let me leave that front part of the store. So she goes online, writes a review talking about the cashier didn't seem too bright, and I was thinking to myself, like, you old hag, are you serious? Like, I sat here and tried to assist you to my best ability. They didn't tell me where this stuff was, and then I'm in trouble because my job set me up to fail by not letting me explore the store and know where these items are. But yeah, Megumi, I got physical scars from putting all those damn caps in those bottles just to be gotten rid of like after a few days. You do all these work for these people, and I swear to you, man, I will never believe at any of these jobs except for maybe the first one, even that's dubious, that I didn't work as hard as I could. So when you're setting alarms and you're getting up and you're going to sleep early to make sure you have enough willpower to stagger all the way through this 8-hour shift. I mean, it's so insane to me that like these places really think you're supposed to just sit here and like that's why I say if you know what, if that lady got hit by a train tomorrow, I wouldn't even care. You can get mad. I don't care. These people actively want to ruin my life, so I don't feel bad when something bad happens to them. Because if I got my way, I would be able to just work somewhere. You do what they tell you to do, and everybody's happy. But they don't want that. They want drama. They want to have these perfect employees that fit whatever their specific definition of stuff is. And she was already being a douchebag before that too. Because I mentioned this earlier in the stream. When I had that little tiny table that came up to my crotch that was hurting my back, and they were confronted about this by my agency. She says, "Well, that's the job. This is his position. To hell with his back." I can definitely relate to this struggle when it comes to working these kind of positions, working to the point of actually getting yourself hurt, but you press on because you know you need to work to work. Yeah, and like I didn't take any. God, man, that's why I said sometimes I wish that because they claim they record everything. I wish they would put out the recordings of me working up there. I was from 6 in the morning to two something, except for a few breaks. I was just constantly doing whatever they told me to. And that's why I said I really hate that I worked so hard for a place that even the agency's head said they didn't appreciate me. It's like, God, you because I always thought if you work hard, the place will at least say, this is someone we should retain because they're actually like trying. They just don't care. They'll fire you over anything. And this is the stupidest excuse ever. He does like remember I told you about like hire to fire. He doesn't have the speed we're looking for. What the hell does that even mean? So this means the person that you gave us, while they do everything we asked them to, we are still unsatisfied because we never will be with anyone, which is why we keep complaining and begging you to have somebody that will take this position. Even though when we get another person, we're probably going to complain about them as well, either because they didn't show up or because we still can never be satisfied. That position was open, and it's been open for a while. And every time they get some new person, they just go and complain about them, and then they just God, I really I don't understand it. I don't. I even told the agency's head, I said, "I do not want to play musical chairs. I don't wanna have to every week be transferred somewhere else because I don't like this here. I don't like" I put up with the back pain. I put up with my fingers getting sore, you know, and it's like, this is the results you get. It is a child's excuse. And it's also the excuse of a place when they just could never be satisfied. Even when they get workers who do the stuff they tell them to do, they're still gonna find a reason to get rid of you. I told you, I'll freely admit, I don't even like doing the psychology thing, but I'll freely admit after the thing happened at that place from last year and then this year, I had like a sort of a PTSD where I'm always worried about, oh, this place is saying I'm doing a good job now, but who's to say in a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks they get rid of? Because I've seen that happen twice, and this is like what the third instance where it's like within a couple of days of being there, they want you gone or they get rid of you. And I'm tired of it. Like, why is it so hard to just have a place that you do what they tell you to do? Maybe you don't do it as perfect as they want immediately, but you're like picking up on it, and then they retain you. Like it's so scary to me how this is just a thing that these companies do. Like I'm really starting to believe it's not like it's kind of. I hate to make this analogy. Um, it's kind of like how we talked about with the chick stuff. How people say if you want a girlfriend, this is what you do, and then you do this stuff, and then you get some gold digger or something that's like not desirable. Now I'm starting to believe it's possible to get hired, but it's impossible to not get fired as quickly as they want you to be gone. Since I keep seeing them do this, where they get you hooked on this idea that they need you, and when they lower and remember, it's like that window opening. You think, oh, it's a new possibility. This might be something different. This might not be the same thing over and over. I might actually, and then right there in the chest, it gets you, and you're reminded of how unfair it all is. They find you lacking behind the other employees and saying how you don't have enough speed. They can freely discard you and try getting another person in, assuming how so many people want that same position. Well, again, that goes back to the insanity. When you have a job like that, where, and I know this for a fact because it was told to me by the agency's person. When you have a job like that, where hours of someone having to get up really early and do something that is menial, that's repetitive, people don't want that position, which is why they put out that temp to hire thing in the first place because they weren't getting anyone who was willing to do that. And it's one of the reasons that I was given some kind of, like a little bit of sympathy or a lot of sympathy by the person that, I did stuff because they saw how antagonistic the lady was when I asked for a bigger table or a chair. So it didn't even surprise them when they did this. But that's why I said when I go to these places, I don't try making friends. I don't because it's like, what's the point? They're just gonna get rid of you anyway. You learn the stuff right because you want to do the thing correctly, but you know in your heart that these places are out against any new employee, and they have you on a chopping block from the second you sign the documents and watch the videos how to do the damn job. This hire to fire thing is becoming extremely common. Yeah, and I keep seeing it where and it's like, again, I used to watch movies like Megumi, you remember in Spider-Man 2 how Peter shows up late at the start of the movie to the pizza place and like he gets fired because his manager's like, you're always late, always late. You can show up on time, you can know how to do the stuff that they want you to do, and they will find and pick any reason to throw you away. I didn't even get a reason from the guy from last year. He just called me on the phone and said, "Hey, we're gonna let you go. Sorry it couldn't work out." Well, slut, what couldn't work out? You're the one that barely gave me any hours. So I said these employers are like the most mindless. You know, it's really sad to me that when somebody wants to make an honest living, they can't do that. Because I actually forgot to mention this. One of the repeated lines of my relatives is that I'm entitled, that I expect something from people. And the ones who say this are the one who says this rather, it's usually the same one over and over, is a person I never ask, like the same psychopath one we were talking about, is a person I never ask anything from. I don't ask them to get me food. I don't ask them just nothing whatsoever. Um, and it's so funny because I want you to understand how it's like. Remember, we had that Spider-Man picture. So either way, I just can't win. They will get you something, and you can say thank you. And when you get into some argument with them, you know what they're gonna say? You're entitled. And then you say to them, okay, well then don't get me anything ever again. I really don't care if you get me nothing. It doesn't bother me. And then right after that, because they're bipolar as well, they'll go and say, hey, do you need something? It's like you're the same one who's gonna complain about it anyway. So no. My favorite spy movie, I felt for Peter when that happened. I brought it up because from what I saw when I was, and look, I know TV isn't always indicative of reality, but you have to admit a lot of like biographical stuff gets put into it. A lot of entertainment I used to would always like promote this idea that you're going to get fired if you repeatedly show up to work late, you know, you're not reliable, whatever. If you can't like do the stuff they tell you to do. And it's like we're at a point now in this absurd, like the literal twilight zone, right? Where you can do things correctly, you can do things the way that the company asks you to do it, and they'll still get rid of you. You can show up on time, you can even show up early, and you'll still be gotten rid of. And they don't even have to give an actual like example or reason of what you're doing wrong. Uh, we're gonna let you go. They don't like these negative reviews you're getting where people don't even tell you what you did wrong. He doesn't have the speed we're looking for. I mean, like, what the hell is this? But so that's why I said I'm so tired of like of this because it's a guy who wants to work a job, who does everything they ask him to, and then when it doesn't work out because the place fires him over something stupid, he gets blamed by the same little tiny pissant group of 2, 3 relatives who all take turns talking about how lazy he is. Even though what does he do every time he's unemployed? Look for work, apply to this, apply to that. Again, how much longer is this going to go on? Yeah, it's like they don't even take those factors into account when they build up the excuse to fire you. No, they don't. I had the manager of the place I was at in February. So they show you how to like do the cash register and all this other stuff, right? And you learn how to do it. I had the manager of that place tell me that all they care about is not whether I clean the store, whether I can like check out items. It's just customer service. This is their most important thing. All we care about is customer service. It's like, so what was the point of showing me how to do all this other stuff? If I'm still going to be told that I'm not fulfilling that criteria based off of reviews where people more often than not don't even say anything anyway. So I said, I'm tired of this, man. Like I don't know why it's so hard to just get a regular job that gives you 8-hour shifts that actually like just like lets you work. Like I know people that worked at the same places for 20, 30, 40, 50 years and they don't have to sit here and hope every week that their manager decides to let them go because they're not moving quickly and or any of this other nebulous drivel. Like remember we talked about the like where do you get that cut? And it's funny. We talked about there's supposed to be a 3-month probation period where they decide they want to keep somebody. Not you don't even get that. You get like remember the place from this year was 1 month, and the other one was like 9 days, and then this one this week was a week. So like, what is with this extremely fast um throw the baby out with the bathwater mentality that these companies have? Like they don't even give you the allotted time that you're supposedly going to have if they're when they're in their decision making process of keeping you or letting you go. I don't understand it. Yeah, the probation period is supposed to be 3 months, and you would think it's like 2 seconds that as quickly as they get rid of people. What irritates me the most is that they know they can get away with it when they fire someone without a proper excuse or reason. They don't give a reason. They just do it to do it. Yeah, it's like let me what What was it? I think they genuinely get enjoyment out of ruining your life. Yeah, this person sounds like a malignant sociopath who will lie about people to make them look bad. Well, somebody else I spoke to theorized that they want to like sound preachy, and like do their moral grandstand of like, oh my God, you need to take accountability for your life and you can't, that type of thing. Um, I really wouldn't put it past them to get enjoyment out of ruining somebody's life. I really would not, because there are a lot of sadistic people in this world, and a lot of people who have no empathy for others. So whether you're this is your first position and you're trying to catch a break, they don't care. They'll throw you away if you make one mistake or if you look at them the wrong way. Because this is what they do. They have no sympathy for anyone else. You could do a million things right and one wrong, and they'll take that one and they will bury you with it. Oh, he's filling up the bottles and he's hurting his hand while he's sitting over there putting all these damn caps on the hundreds of them. Oh, okay. Oh, he's putting the boxes together. Oh, okay. Oh, he's uh putting this other oh, great. But how quickly is he doing it? Oh, it's not at this I mean, like, I'm serious that if I went any faster than I was going, because again, I genuinely believe I was moving as quickly as I could, grabbing one, doing this, grabbing one, doing this. If they want me to go any faster than that, they might as well just start hiring superheroes, or I might, or they need to get somebody that wears some red shoes and do a spin dash. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a superhero, and that's why I said, like, with a lot of this stuff, if you really read between the lines, they want something out of you that you can't. And it's not even like, oh, show up on time or show up earlier or show up later. But when you have a job that tells you you're not moving at a certain speed, and you know for a fact that you're doing this as quickly as you can, they really might as well just tell you to come wearing some red shoes and get ready to jump through some rings, because I can't move any quicker than I was doing. Again, I'm not a superhero. It's just like when there used to be those guys that come on my videos and they're talking about, oh, you can't expect to develop a close relationship with a woman over the computer. You need to go see her. It's like, well, hell, if you have to travel to all these different countries every time there's some broad on the computer you talk to for a couple of days, you'll be out of money in a month. I mean, I don't know what they think. We're all secret millionaires. Like, what the? That's why I said I'm just tired of trying with these places, of being accused of things I did not do. I mean, like, when that idiot said I quit every job I work at, I just wanted to vomit, because it shows the laziness of these people that they can't be bothered to ask you a simple question of, why did you stop working here? So what do they do in their laziness? Write fan fiction. This is them. Well, I'm too much of a fat, stupid, brainless, bipolar piece of garbage to ask Justin a simple question. So I'm going to say that he quit the job. Even though I have no proof of that, I'm just going to make it up. This is them. Just like this, just scribbling. Right. And like, this is the manifestation of their mind. And these are them creating their own excuses for why stuff happened. In their alternate retconned reality, I didn't get fired. I just kept quitting, because I'm just that lazy person that keeps applying for work. Every time he gets offered a position, he accepts it. He just lazy. I went and got up and did a 40-hour work week this week because I'm lazy. Just don't want to do anything. Somebody made me do it. Remember, these people love you and they care about you. That's why they can't ask a simple question of something as basic as, why did you stop working somewhere? Because they love you. They care so much about you. I do recall some clown respond to my comments some days ago regarding that. I just didn't respond to his stupidity. Yeah, there's no point. I tell you, these comment sections, like I'm not even joking. If I had my way, I would make some feature where we could just have a stream where it's only like people I've seen before speaking, like an actual like approved user thing where only those that are on, because again, most people on these websites, they're not trying to have a conversation. They're not trying to actually look at something in a nuanced way. They just want to blame you for everything. Told you, next time I do an edited romance video, I just want the picture to just be me hanging on a cross, because that's all that stuff is. I accepted a long time ago when you try to talk to people about things that affect you in some way that's negative, they don't care. They're not sympathetic. People online are so, oh, absolutely. I mean, I've never doubted that. But like I said, I can tolerate a lot of stuff. It's just when you start getting into trying to persecute me for things that are out of my control is the where we get the problem. Because, like I said, when I was sitting over there for 3 years, applying to places and hearing nothing back and being starved of employment, none of these people cared. They called me lazy. They called me a bum. They said I was doing nothing. They said I just wanted to sit at my house all day. And it's like you can't take that stuff back. Because, like I said, I'll always have that memory of getting up, applying for this place, that place, this place, that place, hearing nothing back, and then being attacked over uh, my inability to get a job. Told you, I'm never gonna go over the memory of that blubbery bimbo last year in February saying, "If you're so smart, why don't you have a job?" I should have said it's because I don't have a set of chest melons and I can't take off my shirt and make 1,000 on OnlyFans like you can, but whatever. We already talked about all the advantages that chicks have with like all the starved men that will give them stuff. So I'm not even gonna get relitigated into that. Wait, what? I'm not sure. I heard you mention this dingbat before. Yeah, it was in the course of this. It's the same person that did the stupid thing I told you about it earlier in the stream of like, oh, I love you so much, and I live with you, but I can't say anything about when someone close to you passes because you're not a very inviting person. I, the person who claimed to take responsibility for what I do, is going to tell you that you're responsible for what I did. So, like I said, they have all the excuses in the world as to why they act the way that they do. I'm just saying, I'll never forget that particular thing because now that person is trying to tell me that they're supposedly going to help me get a job, and it's like only after I've gotten another one, and I'm like, where was this same concern last year, or hell, earlier this year, or the year before last year, the year before that? I'd love to know. Like I said, 3 years of being ignored by employers, going to interviews, hearing nothing back. And only after I start getting hired by some places do these people want to change their position and switch their tune and all the rest. No, forget that. We know what they are. They don't care. And that's been extremely prevalent because, like I said, if in any instance where I've been somewhere else for an extended period of time, for like a day or 2 days or even a week, you hear nothing from them. It's like you don't even exist. Oh, it's that person. They sure can pick their time. I don't like people like that. Me neither. Well, we tried to get one stream without interruption, but let me yeah, it's been really sad that, and, I guess what gets me is that, like, I've always had a little bit of respect for trolls online because most of them won't sit there and act like You know, we're supposed to just sit here and I guess I'll put it this way. They don't act like they care about me. They're just douchebags. They just write nasty stuff to be gross and to, try and like s- get me to feel bad or whatever. But what's worse is that you have people in real life who do what trolls do. They make fan fiction. And then they're even worse because you have to see them in person and they lie and pretend that they care about you. But if you actually look at their actions and the things they've done, it says otherwise. I posted a comment under another video saying I like Bleach more than oh my god. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into a cartoon argument right now because that stuff is just gonna I mean I've seen people say they like One Piece more than Dragon Ball, and then that starts a whole flame war as well. So oh you have fans of pretty much every series that do that. I think I mentioned before that I was on somebody's Dragon Ball video about it was when Ultra Instinct first got revealed, and I said I'm tired of these transformations. That's all I said. I didn't insult anybody. I just said I'm sick of these new forms. And then the person said, "That's because you're a B word." And another person after that called me a racial slur. And since then, I've never commented on that person's channel because I don't think that's okay. I just thought it was so funny. It's like people get to call me all types of names. Like I want you to think about stuff from my perspective. People get to call you all types of names, the N word over and over, right? That seems to be like the most recurring one. But then if you call a woman a B word or bimbo, whatever, they get offended. They start putting on their protest signs and going, "Oh my God, how could you say this about them? And this is so disrespectful." It's like where was the respect for me when I was getting called racial slurs year after year, unprompted by people I didn't even know. Like at least with a lot of the chicks I speak about, I interacted with them and they did something to upset me. You can do a video talking about the news or about a cartoon or about your damn tennis shoes, and you'll have somebody trying to call you a racial slur. So I just don't understand. Like that's why I said I don't feel bad about the stuff I say on here because the stuff that people have said to me is just as bad, if not worse. I really don't feel any type of regret. If they can call me all this nasty stuff and have no reprisal, then I should be given the same deference. Like people will get mad at you for saying that you hope the the manager that fired you or got rid of you from a position gets hit by a truck, but they won't get mad at the manager who took a person that was willing to do all the work that was given to them and got rid of them after a couple of days and and was going to be completely fine with having them have no source of income. I'll never understand how like there's this like there's it's like there's this increasing narrative that you have to take accountability and be held to this higher standards than the other side or the opposing side. Like they can do whatever they want, no reprisal, no kind of consequence whatsoever. But if you do something, it's bad, it should be condemned, it should be gone after. You said, yeah, I agree on that one, period. But really think about that. Like you have people that call me all types of nasty terms. They've been doing this for years. And again, like people will tell you that's the internet. But then when you say, okay, well, these chicks are, and even then I still have like moderate my language to some extent because I try not to get demonetized. But even when you respond back in a way, then suddenly there's an issue. Then suddenly they want to tell you, oh, you speak so disrespectfully about women or this other group. And I'm like, but look at all the things they were saying about me. Where was my defense force? Like I don't understand that. But I think I mentioned before that they throw stones and live in a glass house. They get to call you all types of rude, nasty terms. But then when you say something back to them, just break into a million pieces. Man, I was trying to do a stream about Black Panther 2 because I saw it on Thursday, and that started a whole other scandal. And I was gonna do a review, but I'm just I so much like that thing from yesterday really upset me, and I was waiting to just talk about how all the stuff I did for them and the way I was treated. Chicks have this huge defense force that they aren't even aware of from both genders as well. And like I said, I would be a lot more understanding or sympathetic to their defense force if they were consistent. So, for example, I said before, I've never seen somebody write, "Hey, I don't agree with this guy when he talks about these chicks, but you don't have to call him some racial." Like, I've never seen any of them extend that olive branch or even try to like have some consistency. Like, if you're going to play the white knight who is so above it all, then you should like you'll condemn sexism but not racism. I mean, I don't understand it. It's really weird to me. Told you people are just not consistent. They love to switch from one thing to the other. Oh no, I was really excited to see Wakanda Forever because I was just trying to figure out what they were going to do without Bozeman. And what's really funny, I mean, I'm gonna just like speak about this briefly because we're getting toward that like latter part of the stream. Is that there are a lot of so I said before there are these reviewers where every time a new Marvel movie comes out, they say the same several things over and over. It was bad, it was terrible, all the writing was all over the place, it didn't make any sense. This character was insufferable, blah 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 blah. Just you can take the review, switch out the names and different characters, and it would be the same thing, just repeated. But what I thought was funny is that it's so interesting how with some of these channels I've actually gone and dug up from 4 years ago their reviews rather of the first Black Panther, and they didn't like that one either. So it's like you went to the sequel to a movie that you already did not like or thought was overhyped, whatever, and then are surprised that you don't like the second one. Okay. I already said before the reason they do it is because they get paid off of outrage culture, and it's all part of their efforts to become big celebrities by trashing something with way more talent than they have. And I said before that like if I genuinely don't like something, I'm not reviewing it or watching it or like the Dragon Ball Super manga was terrible nonstop with that granola arc. So I just stopped reading it altogether for like the last year or 2 years. It's on break or hiatus now, but up until it ended from like all the way from like last year or before that because it was bad. It was not enjoyable. Every time I read the plot summary, I wasn't excited. So I walked away from it. They weren't doing it for me. But you're not. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between me and them. Is I'm not gonna tell you how bad something is, but then still keep engaging with it anyway. And they do that every time a new Marvel movie comes out. They have a review up within the first 48 hours of the movie being out, talking about how bad it is. And I'm really tired of that same trend repeat because it's like I thought when things were bad, you're supposed to not watch it. I thought when something is not good, nobody ever checks it out. Nobody ever wants to go see it. They especially don't want to go see the sequel to it or see it right as it comes out. But this is what they do. They're like, this movie was horrible. Hey, you got your tickets for the Thursday preview showing? You bet I do. Let's go, man. I mean, like, I just don't understand. Well, I do understand they're trying to make some money, but I'm tired of that. All right, so Megumi says chicks have this. Okay, I already read that. That's what happens. You guys write a new comment. I get confused. Um, but like I said, I'm really sick of this whole saga. Working for somewhere for a few weeks or a week, and then being gotten rid of after you did everything to try and like appease them or appeal to them. It's really irritating. Like I said, I hurt my back and I hurt my fingers with that job. And what did I get in return for for my loyalty to them? Being gotten rid of after my first week for not being fast enough. I just keep thinking about that manager from February. Oh, just get the job that doesn't have customer service. And then you get one with no customer service, they just find another reason. So that's why I said that, like, I don't believe I will ever find a position where you can just work there. Maybe you make some mistakes. Maybe there's like one day out of a month you show up like not on time or whatever. But they understand you're trying. You're doing what they tell you to do, so they keep you on. They know that you are giving it your all during your work hours. But they just these places just don't care. They want perfect employees after they get on these websites and these other affiliates and beg for somebody to work for them. And I'm just tired of it. And like I said, all these relatives that are talking about we need to patch things up and I'm gonna help you get a job. Where the hell were they when I was sitting over there dying? Not a single one of them offered to assist me until this week. And it's like, where were you? After when I don't have a job, you don't care, you don't say anything. But after I get one, then you want to supposedly come and help. So I said, I'm so sick of people. And if there's one thing you take from today's stream, know this: when someone tells you that they love you, when someone tells you that they care about you, always put their actions above their words. If they are doing things that do not help you, or if they are not doing things that could help you that require almost nothing from them, that's how you know they're full of crap. So on that note, I'm gonna wrap the stream up. I am sorry I didn't do one on Monday. I'll see about doing one this Monday, and that can be the review for the movie. Just because I'm really I did want to talk about it, but I was just so frustrated with all the stuff from this week. And the only little bright glimmer of hope, and it's a tiny one. It's like a little button of hope, is the fact that there's another place that actually pays a little bit more that I'm apparently gonna like go to on Monday or something, depending on, like, I guess when this stuff clears. So that's the only thing that doesn't seem as, but again, I'm still worried that they might, come up with an excuse to do the same thing, and I'll be sitting there next Saturday talking about how screwed up that was too. But we'll see. So thanks for showing up, and have a good day. I appreciate you, Akatsuki Merchant, Megumi. Um, it it really never gets easier. And I know that's a depressing message to end the stream on, but I'm not about to sit here and act like I'm satisfied with the way these things are going. Because I know that no matter what happens, if it goes in a way that I don't like, the most blamed man of all time will reclaim his crown and get trashed and crapped on until the end of his days. So that's that.